She room? Okay, sis. First one in the room. All praise to the Creator. Shalom, shalom. All right, happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is November the 20th, 2022, day 268 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1287. Today we're picking back up and we're probably going to finish first book of the First Lords, beginning with chapter 3 on page 39. And when we finish there, we're going to jump back into the field guide to the spirit world on page 99. Yeah, and we'll see if we can finish up the end of this chapter, soul murder, which we may or we may not. It just depends on if I'm reading through any stories I'm gonna add in. I don't know. We gonna see. All right, y'all. Vinette, greetings. Iman, Grand Rising, Hannah, Shalom, Belinda Brown. Hey, girl. You thought you missed something? You ain't missed nothing, Auntie. Derry, CM, Shalom, Shalom. Prince Yehuda, Shalom, bless up in the name of Ormaz, the greatest light entity, right? And everybody else here hanging out in the background. Top of the morning to you. All right, y'all. Listen, y'all know somebody else a couple days ago died in Mexico? I'm just like, yep, don't regret changing our family vacation next summer. A young lady from here, a gentleman from Texas, and one of their other friends. There was 3 of them, went down to Mexico. Yes, I saved the link. I'm going to share it with y'all. Look up, matter of fact, the girl from here is from Virginia Beach. She had a candle business that she started in 2020. It's called Glow Through It. She had like a bad breakup with her boyfriend. So instead of falling into depression, she said, you know, I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to glow through it. That's what her candle company is called. Glow, G-L-O, through it, right? Young girl, she was in her 20s, but started the candle company. She did live here in Virginia Beach. What happened is, just to give you a quick synopsis of the story, her and 2 of her friends went down to Mexico. They were staying in an Airbnb, right? But she was actually on the phone with her boyfriend when she started to get sick. And she told him that, you know, she's not feeling good. And, you know, so when they finally got off the phone, she said she's gonna lay down, you know. So he called back in the morning just to check on her to see if she was feeling any better. And when he couldn't get in touch with her, he got in contact with the main people who was over the particular Airbnb that she was at. And they went to do a welfare check for her boyfriend. And when they went up there, they found all 3 bodies dead. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, and the reports came back that it was carbon monoxide poisoning. I'm just like, do they have like no rules and regulations for their housing there like we have here? Like, you gotta have a detector. Me and my husband were just talking about this a few minutes ago. It was like, we're going to Lowe's right when my video is over. And because the ones that are here, you can tell they built this house in 2005. And the owners that were previously here, they are the original owners from the time it was built in 2005, right? But we can tell, you can look at them and you can tell they probably like the original ones, but they weren't. They passed inspection. It was like, you know what? We're changing everything out. We need to get the latest model, you know. But that's not something I ever want to have to worry about. You know, that's not, you don't really hear that too often here in America. either, for real. Just because of the housing codes and things that have to be in compliance. But yeah, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You know, anytime I see something where we can make ourselves and our house better and, you know, solidify our safety in another area just a little bit more, and it only costs a few dollars to do so, we doing it. We changing out all of them today. I'm just like, this is crazy. Yeah, so look her up. I'll share the link. And in the video, because her best friend did a video about it, and there was in her best friend's video, she actually put the links to a couple news stations that covered the story a couple days ago. It's crazy. Yeah, right. Jamia, shalom, shalom. BC, shalom. Y'all Tabitha, y'all Cooper, shalom, shalom. Well, you're welcome, Jamia. All right, y'all. So, yeah. You switched over. You watching on both prints. All right, y'all. Let's get started. All right. Page 39, chapter 3. And remember, this book is about what was happening. You know, we had Sathantes, who was the first god over earth when it was time to be inhabited, and man was at that level to where, you know, now we need a god. But we heard their story in the book of Sathantes, and this is their chain of command, the first lords, like under the god. So this is where, right here, the book of the first, that's what Genesis should be called, the book of the first lords. First book of the first lords, right? It's not even talking about the God, and not even talking about the creator, but it's the lords that's talking in Genesis, right? Okay, I digress. Chapter 3, page 39. And God gave commandments unto man, that the earth might be a place of rejoicing forever. And these are the commandments of the Lord God, as given in that day. Thou shalt strive to remember the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And thou shalt not kill man, nor beast, nor bird, nor creeping thing, for they are the Lord's. Thou shalt build walls round about thy cities, that beasts and serpents may not enter and do thee harm. And if thy habitation be in the wilderness, thou shalt build mounds of wood and earth to sleep on at night, that serpents and beasts may not molest thee. The Ehims inquired of the Lord, saying, if we build walls around about our cities, how shall we get in and out? How shall we gather our harvest of fruits and nuts and seeds of the field? How shall we ascend on the mounds which we build in the wilderness? The Lord said, behold, my angels shall teach you to build ladders and how to use them. And when ye go into the city at night, ye shall take the ladders in after you. And when ye come out in the morning, ye shall let the ladders down again. And God's angels taught the chosen these things, and man provided the cities with ladders, and he provided the mounds with ladders also. According to the commandment of God were these things done. And the Ehims prospered and spread abroad over the face of the earth. Hundreds of thousands of cities and mounds built they, and they rejoiced in the glory of all created things. Neither killed they man, nor beast, nor fish, nor bird, nor creeping thing that breathed the breath of life. And God saw that man was good and grateful in all things. And God called unto the angels of heaven, saying, why are the Ehims good? For as yet they are ignorant. And the angels answered, saying, because thou saidest unto us, go ye as guardian angels, and inspire man to live without evil. Even so have we administered unto the Ehims, guarding and inspiring them night and day. God said, why then the Ehims have no honor, except they learn of themselves. What? God said, why then the Ehims have no honor, except they learn of themselves to be good. They will be void of wisdom in heaven. For this reason ye shall withdraw a little, that man may be tried as to his self-commandment. That's good. Let's see what he do when y'all not around. God said, why then the Ehims have no labor, except they learn of themselves to be good. they will be void of wisdom in heaven. For this reason ye shall withdraw a little, that man may be tried as to his self-commandment. And the angels withdrew a while from the Ehenes, and now it came to pass that they had stored in their cities and on their mounds ample provision of food and raiment for the winter. But the Droops followed not the example of the Ehenes, for the Droops stored up nothing. And when the angels departed a little way, evil spirits came to the Droops and said unto them, Behold, it is winter, and ye are hungry. Go ye over the ladders and possess the stores of the Ehenes. And the Droops plundered the Ehenes, and evil spirits set upon the Ehenes also, and many of them were inspired to defend their stores. And war ensued, and it spread around about the whole earth. And we remember from the other day what the mark of Cain was. War, all right? And the Ehenes besought the Lord as to why God suffered evil to come upon his chosen. And the Lord said, Because ye depended upon me for all things, ye developed not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account. Otherwise he could not attain to the Godhead in heaven. 2 entities has thy Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit, right? We still got that today. Part of us is flesh, the outer, and the part of us is spirit, the inner. 2 entities has thy Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, when the Droops came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out, War, and thy people fell. Again, I have come to thee to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that, and not the flesh, which shall learn to triumph. That's good. While I was reading this, I just looked at Cain and Abel in a whole nother light. Listen, there's multiple levels to this. So we can say those who were inspired to evil were of the seed of Cain, and those who do righteously are Abel. Right here it says, 2 entities has thy Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. So you can also look at Cain and Abel within yourself. The flesh being Cain, right? And the spirit being Abel, wanting to do what's right, right? While the flesh is like, no, sis, go do this. And he's super fine.
Mom, set out your stuff.
Tell him to leave my stuff alone. Right? Listen, let me read it again. This was good all the way back to 11. I ain't gonna go back that far, but let me just go to 15. And the Ehenes besought the Lord as to why God suffered evil to come upon his chosen. And the Lord said, Because ye depended upon me for all things, ye developed not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account. Otherwise he could not attain to the Godhead in heaven. 2 entities has thy Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, when the Droops came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out, War, and thy people fell. Again have I come to thee to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that, and not the flesh, which shall learn to triumph. Oh, that is so good. He said it's your spirit that's going to learn to triumph and not your flesh, right? Spirit get a little bit stronger, you can subdue this beast, right? Kevin, shalom, shalom. Anita, greetings. I didn't turn this side, please. Hold on. Let me put it back a little bit. Okay. Verse 20, page 40. The Ehenes, the Ehenes said, Our people are scattered and gone. Will they not mingle with the Droops and thus go out in darkness? Is it hurting, Cool? Okay, hold on. Where Elijah? 1 second, y'all. Come here, baby girl. Here. Let me put some ice on your lip. Don't let it go. Let it go. Go wake up Elijah. Here, get us to Elijah. There you go. Get it to Elijah. Wake him up. Wake him up. No, just go give that to Elijah. What is the matter, girl? You okay? Go give that to Elijah and wake him up. You okay? Yeah? What you trying to do? Ooh. Hold on, y'all. You was burning up.
God, for now, don't have to bring it up.
Hold on, y'all. And where's her cup? I'm gonna put some ice water in her cup so she can sip on it while you doing that. Ooh. Okay, y'all, I'm back. All right, grandbaby got a bit of a temper. When I say she was burning up. I'm glad she walked in here and I picked her up. She did like this. As soon as I picked her up, you could feel the heat like coming off of her. I don't know. I think I don't know what, something happened to her yesterday. We don't know, but she bit her lip. She fell or something. But she been really cranky and crying since last night, since that happened. Like me and James, we was out, so we're not sure when it came back. And Elijah said he don't know. He just saw her crying. He thinks she fell and hit her mouth. But since then, she's been, just kind of, crying, and we got some little orgeat and like put it on her lip or whatever, just to kind of take some of the pain away, numb it a little bit so she'd leave it alone. And gave her like a little bit of Motrin to kind of help the pain inside, because she was having a fit yesterday. But she wasn't hot, but she's like hot right now, so but yeah, get some ice water. I was like, grab some cool rags and like put it on her armpits, on her feet, back of the neck. Give her a little bit of Motrin, because you don't want babies to get too hot because they could have a seizure, right? All right, y'all. What Kevin say? Oh, he was responding to Vanette about the moon. I saw you sent me something this morning, and I saw like a little preview of what you said. You was talking about the moon. I didn't get a chance to open up the message because I was already in the floor getting everything together to get down here. All right, y'all. Let's go back here. I'm on page 40. Let me read verse 17 again. 2 entities has thy Creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, when the Jukes came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out war, and thy people fell. Again have I come to thee to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that, and not the flesh. It is that, meaning it's the spirit. It is that, and not the flesh, which shall learn to triumph. And I already got that in brackets from the first time, but let me throw a highlight on it. Yes, Sue. You see down here, she said, that was hay. Verse 20. The Ehenes said, our people are scattered and gone. Will they not mingle with the Jukes and thus go out in darkness? That's Dad. Did he ask for that? He didn't. He back. I know he didn't. Go wash your face. Go look in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. Clean yourself up. The Ehims said, our people are scattered and gone. Will they not mingle with the drooks and thus go out in darkness? The Lord said, behold, there were drooks who had learned a little from the images. Now, because thy people are scattered and gone, they shall go amongst the drooks and teach the law of incest and the name of God, and they shall also begin to hide their nakedness. So the Lord inspired other people besides the Ehims to make and wear clothes, and they thus wore them. And again, the Lord brought the Ehims together in lodges and cities. And he said unto them, henceforth ye shall live upon the earth as an example of righteousness. And your brethren, the appropriate thing to say before you just interrupt me would be, excuse me, and wait for me to answer. Sheesh. It's food from last night. Boy.
I thought y'all were going to the movies.
We decided to do something else. We can change our plans. Verse 23. And again the Lord brought the Ehims together in lodges and cities, and he said unto them, henceforth ye shall live upon the earth as an example of righteousness. And your brethren who have mingled with the tribes of darkness shall no longer molest you, but be your defenders and protectors. And there began a new tribe on the earth, and they were called Ehuans, because they were half-breeds betwixt the Drooks and Ehims. The Ehuans were red like copper, and they were taller and stronger than any other people in all the world. And the Lord commanded the Ehuans, saying, protect ye the Ehims, the little people, white and yellow. Call them the sacred people, for ye are of them, and ye are also of the Lord your God. And it was so. And that's the end of chapter 3. And somebody asked a question yesterday about the law of incest, or the crime of incest. And it was in the comment section. And I didn't get a chance to respond to it because it came through like when me and my husband was out, and you know, I was like, I'm gonna have to answer this later. But I glanced over the question, and if I remember correctly, they said, what if somebody is born of incest today? Are they not capable of eternal life? So what I want to reiterate is yesterday when we were talking about this, those ones who were not capable of eternal life, they died out. They've been gone. Everybody alive today, no matter how you were born, is capable of eternal life, right? They can still get to know the Father. So I think that was the gist of the question. Those ones who are no longer capable of eternal life, they don't exist anymore here, from what I understand. According to this, that whole race of them died out. But even though that is happening with the hybrid people who are alive now, which is us, when we reproduce with anybody, I mean, unless you got something going on with your reproductive system already, but it doesn't matter what race you copulate with or you have intimacy with and you just happen to get pregnant, all the races alive on the face of the earth today are capable of eternal life. So even if somebody commits the crime of incest, their product, even though things will be, most of the time will be wrong with them, and I said I was going to share that little clip. I'm going to have to find it today. Although they will be something wrong with them, you know, most of the time, you know, at least from what I say, most of the time something will be wrong with them, they're still capable of eternal life simply because of the two parents who came together who were capable of eternal life, right? But what I'm thinking is they won't be able, there's going to be something going on with them where they won't be able to reproduce, right? So I don't think, and I could be wrong, right? I haven't really looked into it in detail, but based on some of what I've seen, I don't think mentally some of them, a good percentage of them are let me not say that. I think they're going to be sterile. Like when you bring a a horse and a donkey together. You get a henny or a mule. Henny or a mule cannot reproduce, right? So I think it's the same thing if you have sex with relatives. You won't, I think you'll be sterile. I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain. Like I said, not 100%, but I'm thinking it gets you the same output as the offspring of a henny. I mean, offspring being a henny or a mule. It just depends on whether the horse is male or female and the donkey is male or female, which will determine whether you get a henny or a mule, right? That's my extent of that. That's the extent of my knowledge on that as of right now. I'm gonna have to look into it a little bit more, but just to answer your question, I forget the name, but I put it in the title today, and I'll let that person know to watch this video today, which I'm sure they'll see it. You know, I'm sorry I forgot your name. I just glanced, but I remember the question while I was reading over this. I'll put it in there. Whoever asked the question, their question, and that's what I'm gonna start doing too, just in case somebody asks a question and they're not present for when I actually answer the question. I'll put their name in a title or in like the thumbnail or something where they can see, oh, is that me? My question? And they can watch that video to see, right? And I went back, Kevin's question about digging the evil out. I went back and added Kevin's question to the thumbnail for that video the other day, and also in the title and the description. It's too much to add into the title. I had to play with that a little bit, the actual title of the video.
That's not mine.
Pour that out. That's gross. Pour that out.
Someone brought it upstairs.
First, yeah, why was it upstairs? Because that could have fell and got on my carpet. Who took that upstairs?
Mom, I didn't eat that. Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
Okay, we don't need to fight about that. Take care of that. All right, y'all. Chapter 4. BC. Shalom, shalom. All right, chapter 4. About this time, man began to use his lips and tongue in enunciating words, prior to which he spoke in the thorax. And the Lord spake unto the Ehims, saying, that the labor of the Lord thy God may be remembered on the earth. Go provide me a stone, and I will engrave it with mine own hand, and it shall be called Simoan. See plate 63, because it shall be a testimony unto all nations and peoples on the earth, of the first written language in all the world. So remember that plate, right? Let's go to it real quick. I'll show you. I forgot to take a picture of the plate yesterday. Yeah, I completely forgot. I really did, because as soon as I got out of here, I was headed to school. And I just didn't remember till just now. Samoan, the Samoan plate 63, Samoan is on page 522. Let me write myself a note. Post plates. Yesterday and today. Okay. Did I say 566? It ain't 566. What did I say? I forgot what I said. $522. Page 522. I'm sorry. Kendra, that was you? Okay. Okay, Kendra asked that question. Okay, I'm here, says Pam, just listening in the background. I asked that question. Thanks to you both and Jamil for answering that question. You're welcome. What Jamil say? I missed it. What'd she say? Go back up. Oh, she must have responded in there. I got to go back. Somebody had to go back. So that's where probably what she added in. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, Kendrick. All right, so page 522, plate 63 is Samoan. And remember, this whole chapter, I believe, is called Samoan, which I want to say, is this the first? I think this is the first chapter. Because it's, yeah. It starts on page 521. This entire chapter, Samoan relates to this plate, and every verse represents the symbol in this plate, and it starts from the top left corner and it goes to the right all the way to the end, and each symbol is a verse beginning at 1 all the way, so I believe it was 121. It explains what each of those symbols are. Yeah, all the way to 121. So within plate 63, it's 121 icons or little symbols. And like I said, each verse, the first one, like I said, you have to count because the symbols are not numbered, but it's going in the order of all the way at the top left hand corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the end. And when you get here, you drop down to the next and go back to the left and go to the right. That's how it's going, 1 to 121. Okay, we figured that out the first time reading through, about halfway through it. Okay, so hop back. Page 40. I'll just start at 1 because that was in verse 2. About this time, man began to use his lips and tongue in enunciating words, prior to which he spoke in the thorax. And the Lord spake unto the Ehines, saying, that the labor of the Lord thy God may be remembered on the earth. Go provide me a stone, and I will engrave it with mine own hand, and it shall be called Simoan. See plate 63. Because it shall be a testimony unto all nations and peoples on the earth of the first written language in all the world. And the Ehines prepared a stone and hewed it flat, and then polished it smooth. And the Lord came down in the night and engraved it. And the Lord explained it through his angels, taught he the Ehines the meaning of the characters engraved thereon. And the Lord said, go into all the cities in all the countries of the world, and provide ye copies like unto the tablet I have given. So it came to pass, the angels of heaven inspired the Ehines to make tablets and go to read them, that the first language of the earth, Panic, might be preserved to the races of men. And it was so. Now the Ehuans partly obeyed the Lord and partly obeyed the way of the flesh, and they became warriors and destroyers. Nevertheless, they harmed not the Ehines, nor suffered harm to come upon them. And God commanded the Ehines to make eunuchs of the yaks, the monstrosities, and use them as servants. They call them monstrosities. That's horrible. Like, that's somebody's baby. God had commanded the Ehines to make eunuchs of the yaks, the monstrosities, and use them as servants, for the Lord saw the yaks were not capable of everlasting life in heaven. Now the Ehuans also served the yaks in the same way, but they disobeyed God in inflicting the neutral gender on their enemies whom they captured in war. And although they were themselves half-breeds with the Droops, yet they hated the Droops and pursued them with vengeance. And I want to say this means that they cut their jank off. They made them neutral gender. Now the Ehuans also served the yaks in the same way, but they disobeyed God in inflicting the neutral gender on their enemies whom they captured in war. Yeah, I'm almost certain that means they castrated them. If I'm wrong or somebody knows different, help a sister out. Yeah, no reproducing. Y'all ain't never heard people call people man parts junk. And in some cases, let me stop. Nope, I'm not going to go there. Let me keep reading. Verse 6, I'm going to read it again. God had commanded the Ehines to make eunuchs of the yaks, the monstrosities, and use them as servants, for the Lord saw that the yaks were not capable of everlasting life in heaven. Now the Ehuans also served the yaks in the same way, but they disobeyed God in inflicting the neutral gender on their enemies whom they captured in war. And although they were themselves half-breeds with the Droops, yet they hated the Droops and pursued them with vengeance. In those days, the relative proportion of the races of men were Ehines 100, Ehuans 300, Droops 5,000, yaks 5,000, and of the monstrosities betwixt man and beast 3,000. But the latter died each generation, for they had not the power of procreation amongst them. Which, yeah, like we was just talking about, right? So that's what I'm thinking. That they although nowadays everybody is capable of eternal life, they lose the power to procreate, to continue creating that just sounds so wrong. It says here monstrosities, right? I'm just rereading what this say. Now the Ehuans, verse 7, now the Ehuans also serve the yaks in the same way. I done read this like 14 times already. Let's go to 8. Verse 8, in those days, the relative proportion of the races of men were Ehins 100, Ehuans 300, Drooks 5,000, Yaks 5,000, and of monstrosities betwixt man and beast 3,000. But the latter died each generation, for they had not the power of procreation amongst themselves. And God saw the work of destruction going on of the Ehuans, slaughtering right and left. And he sent the Ehins to preach amongst them, saying to the Ehins, thus say ye to the Ehuans, whomever is created alive, kill not, for it is the commandment of the Lord. For in the time of your most success in slaughtering your fellow man, ye are also peopling heaven with the spirits of vengeance, and they will return upon you, and even the Ehuans shall turn upon one another. Thus saith God. So by doing this, they sending these souls into the spirit realm, into S, in chaos, right? And those in chaos linger here around the earth and the first heaven, and they torment people here, driving them to do insane things like what we're learning about in here, right? Verse 12, but the Ehuans understood not, believed not, and it came to pass that great darkness covered the earth, and man, save the few Ehins, gave up to wickedness all his days. And the Lord's people worshiped and preached in the temples, and the Lord and his heavenly host manifested unto them, but all the other races of men heard not, would not come to learn of God. And the Lord became tired of his labor, and he called his angels to him, and he said unto them, behold, man on the earth hath gone so far from my ways, he will not heed my commandments. He cannot hear my voice. And remember, the first lords, they were righteous, right? And just like the first gods, Sathantes, and then Hajar, right? But it's in a process of time that the evil and the wickedness came in. But remember, when this first started off, everybody was in line with the keynote. So whether they're talking to the Lords or they're talking to God, they're getting true light and information, except for where it specifically says the Droops came in or whatever, right? But those in charge at that time, they were in line with the keynote, right? So the commands that were coming from the highest heaven, being what we consider as the highest heaven before we knew that there was a higher, but being passed down from God, he was trusted by Creator to be here and to run this according to all the rulings that the higher heavens are, right? Teach man our ways that he may rise up through the ranks and become one of us, right? So all of this was good, even when they was using the idols and stuff. The idols were brought in to teach those who were not at the time able to they were not capable of eternal life. And it says some of them still couldn't understand. They tried to really break it down to the least common denominator. Okay, let's just use figures now to try and see if we can get them to understand. So that wasn't necessarily a bad thing when it first came on the scene, because it was used as a teaching model. Remember Ken and Barbie? I wish I had her Ken and Barbie. You know, Ken and Barbie, this is Creator, this is whatever, right? And so they're trying to get them, not that this Ken is the Creator indeed, or this Barbie is whoever, right? God, whatever. Not that these were it. These are representations of the real thing. And that's how the teaching came in. It was introduced. It was only supposed to be a representation of the real things, but somewhere in the course of time, these began to be worshipped as real things. That you have the idol worship that we see rampant today in the church and all the other religions, you know, and people want to fight you over their Jesus or whoever, right? Verse 14, page 41. And the Lord became tired in his labor, and he called his angels to him. And he said unto them, Behold, man on the earth hath gone so far from my ways, he will not heed my commandments, he cannot hear my voice. And your labor is in vain also, for which reason we will tarry no longer on the earth till man hath exhausted the evil that is in him. So the Lord and his angel host departed away from the earth, and clouds came over the face of the earth. The moon shone not, and the sun was only as a red coal of fire. And the stars stood in the firmament as well in the day as at night. The harvest failed, the trees yielded no nuts, and the roots on which man feedeth ceased to grow. And the monstrosities and the yaks and the droops died off, tens of millions of them, and even yet they were not extinct. Nevertheless, the Ehuans suffered less, and the Ehines not at all, for the Lord had previously inspired them to provide against the coming famine. And the Lord bewailed the earth and the generations of man. I made man upright and walked by his side, but he slipped aside and fell, said the Lord. I admonished him, but he would not heed. I showed him that every living creature brought forth its own kind, but he understood not, believed not, and he dwelt with beasts, falling lower than all the rest. And we see this in Genesis. So the Lord who was walking in the garden in the cool of the day was the Lord, right? One of the lords, one of the first lords, not the creator, not even God, one of the lords. He said, we walked amongst men. That was what they was doing. They were here physically where they could see them until all this stuff started happening, all the shenanigans, and they removed themselves, right? And so now, unless your eyes are spiritually open to see them, you can't see them. But nevertheless, they still here, right? They watching, the watchers. All right, that's the end of the first book of the first lords. All right, y'all. So this, I'm gonna put my marker over here for this next book that we're gonna start tomorrow, which is Book of Ashang, son of Jehovah, God of the second cycle after man's creation. Say loud. Peace, brother. Kevin said, I bet it would be mind-blowing to know how many other worlds are falling to false gods like ours is. According to Oahspe, every world goes through these cycles, right? This is how the earth and man is developed spiritually. Every world.
Mommy,
Yes, babe.
I can end it and I can get on my iPad.
Yes, you can end it. I don't know about getting on my iPad today.
But
sis.
Mommy, but my cat is in the cat.
We'll talk about this in a minute. I'll let you take care of your cat probably about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all. So we paused at the bottom of page 99. We had just got done talking about the prostitute snuffer. I'm going to just go back up to that. Let's see, two paragraphs above this last sentence where it says, though Diane Downs, right there. Though Diane Downs, who murdered one of her children and attempted to murder the others, had been molested by her father at age 12, their secret was never once discussed. Her father was an influential man, after all. It was not until the trial of Spokane's prostitute snuffer, Robert Lee Yates Jr., that a childhood secret came out. Yates had been repeatedly molested by a neighbor at the age of 6. Quote, this has remained a deep secret for him throughout his life. End quote. Bearer, 2002, page 187. Oh, another little long-held Yates family secret emerged around that time.
The cat got mail too.
Girl, listen, I say when I'm done, right? And I'm going to delete some of this stuff because I can't even get on my my thing.
Check on the cat.
You can check on the cat later. Come on. Because then y'all gonna start fighting over this and why she get on, and I ain't got time for all that this morning. Oh, another little long-held Yates family secret emerged around that time. Yates' grandmother had killed his grandfather with an axe. The big lie or big secret is perfected in the school of deceit and hypocrisy, whose unwitting students then fit for the passive-aggressive mold. They are, according to Malachi Martin, quote, hostages to the devil, end quote. That's going in our title, hostages to the devil. They are, according to Malachi Martin, quote, hostages to the devil, end quote, animated by, quote, a particular fascination with the negative, end quote, thus drawing the dark side to one's aura, or those droops, or those ones who are so well known for their mischievous deeds here in the spiritual realm, which torments man. On the other hand, some households merely enjoin conformity, but too often through unyielding rigidity and uncommon strictness, centered on a religious ideal and in the absence of true affection. True affection. Remember that little quote from Glass? It was in Glass. I'll read that again. On the other hand, let me go back. There are, according to Malachi Martin, quote, hostages to the devil, end quote, animated by, quote, a peculiar fascination with the negative, end quote, thus drawing the dark side to one's aura. On the other hand, some households merely enjoin conformity, but too often through unyielding rigidity and uncommon strictness, centered on a religious ideal and in the absence of true affection. Quote, I was truly the chattel of an Irish Catholic mother, end quote, averred Dr. John Kapler, Abloh, 1994, page 35. When sociopaths come from a family where there has been no overt abuse, look instead for this uncompromising agenda, or for the great pretense, or for the charade of, quote, good home, end quote. Diagnosed passive-aggressive as well as obsessive-compulsive, John Hinckley Jr. wrote, quote, I will continue to grovel for normalcy, end quote. During his trial for the shooting of President Reagan and others, reporters dubbed his syndrome, quote, dementia suburbia, end quote. He came, of course, from a, quote, good, end quote, and prosperous home. No abuse, but pressures, quote, to keep up with the rest of a successful family, end quote. Kaplan, 1987, page 63, 91 to 92, and 80 to 85. The Hinckley saga was not unlike that of Lyle Menendez, Beverly Hills parasite, quote, smothered by his parents, end quote, who were, quote, fixated on perfection, end quote. The father had drilled superiority into his sons, was controlling and demanding, yet the boys were, at the same time, very spoiled. The term soul murder was also used by psychiatrist Dr. Robert Mayer for the sort of emotional abuse that robs the youngster of ripening self. Artie Shawcross's mother was an extremely abusive and controlling woman, bossy, jealous, a martinet who thoroughly intimidated her son, a screamer and screecher who dominated her family. See, I'd be done slapped her in the mouth if I was still. Oh, I got to go. I can't handle the screaming. A screamer and screecher who dominated her family. She used every four-letter word in the book to dress down her slightly retarded son. Sheesh. Still, the experts concluded that Artie's, quote, inner workings are probably completely beyond comprehension, end quote. Duh. Look, didn't Roy Hazelwood's study of serial rapists find that 76% had indeed been, quote, victimized as youngsters, end quote. Depew, 2005, page 286. This fact, and it is a fact, is not incomprehensible, but whitewashing the great American family is a stubborn old habit. Few are eager to learn that parenting, American style, has a seriously ugly side. And here's where I'm gonna read this, but let me read this next paragraph first. The unmaking of self begins at home. The non-person is made, not born. Forensic psychiatrists readily observe the criminal's need to humiliate and degrade, yet are reluctant to trace this to the parents who taught them this very bad behavior in their, quote, sponge, unquote, years. Lousy parenting, criticism, debasement, belittlement is the kindergarten of crime. Okay, so go back to page 101, and we're going to read through this 12 steps, and it's entitled 12 Steps to Raise a Delinquent Child. And I'm going to reread that paragraph that I just read. So here's a picture so you can see Facebook, YouTube. I'm going to take a picture of this too. I'm going to remember, y'all. I'm going to remember. Okay, so I'm going to read it. 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. Number 1, begin with infancy to give the child everything he wants. In this way, he'll grow up to believe the world owes him a living. Clearly, we can see that. Like, we have to get on ourselves. Like, we was talking about this yesterday. We was out. It was like, have we done our children a disservice? Thinking about some of the things Jeremiah be saying, he was like, y'all just let them get away with murder. Not that we really do, like, because y'all even seen here when they come try it, right? But some things are like, maybe we are just a little bit too lenient with some things, right? Which is why they keep fighting over my little iPad. Why? Because I done locked up all the electronics, all of them, right? Yeah, so just we just like, you know, we can't put spoiled product out there in the world, right? Because it's like we see too much of that. And when you see them, the first day, I mean, you're like, she done lost her mind, or he done lost her mind. Where the child's parent? They always come back to the parents. Not that we want to be looked like in such a way, but we really, truly don't want to put people who haven't been properly prepared for the world and just go out there thinking that the world owes them everything because we give them everything, right? It was like, we need to slow down, right? And our thoughts were, I mean, we didn't grow up in the richest of families. You know, our parents did what they did, and I grew up, I had a pretty good darn life growing up. I didn't ever ask for much anyway, but we was just, because you know how it's always something that a child wants that the parents say, no, not right now, or whatever. And you get this thought, well, when I grew up and get out here, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get my children everything they want, right? That's not a real good philosophy to have. And as you get older, if you have that philosophy, hopefully you would change that as you're adjusting and maturing mentally. Mom, hey girl, hey. So you won't be putting spoiled product out here in the world. And we can see the product of spoiled children. Them ones throwing temper tantrums out there, that's the results of parenting at home, right? You let them get away with murder at home. And so when they get out here in the streets and they want what they want, and you like, no, baby, you can't have it. And little Johnny start to throw a fit. Let me tell you, what my kids be like, they do like this, do like this. And when we was at Disney World, Josh said, it was a kid, I told y'all about this story. It was a kid out there throwing a pure tea fit. This not the one where my husband told y'all the story about when we went to get ice cream and the little child was lost. So he assumed he was lost, but the dad was right there. And he went off on his daddy. Boy was like, what? He was like 6. Talking about something, Dad, you lost me. Like, he was up there. We saw the child. He was like screaming, like, oh my God, where's my dad? Where's my dad? And people's looking like, oh snap, somebody done lost their child out here. But the dad, he was coming. And they were of I mean, not that it really makes any difference, but Because when I heard it, but I didn't see it. My husband actually saw it because he took Isaiah over with him while he went to get ice cream from this particular place while we was waiting for some from over here. I heard it, but I didn't see it. But my husband was close enough to where he see it. And the first thing I said was, and I probably got to break myself out of this habit because I see black people doing shenanigans too. I was like, was they white or was they black? He said neither. They were like Korean or Asian or something like that, right? Not that, y'all get what I'm saying. But he said when the son heard the dad, he said, buddy, I'm right here. BC, I don't want people to think like I'm racist, but we have like a lot of white friends that, look, our white friends and our different color friends, they're not racist. So we don't like sit around joking on colors or nothing like that. But my husband in a heartbeat, he'll say, even some of the people that we work with and stuff like, man, that's some white boy stuff right there. They would start laughing. And, we know this. We've been knowing them for years. Like we hang out with them, their families. We know. But y'all get it. But he said, buddy, I'm right here. And the little boy said, Dad, you lost me. And proceeded to wail on his daddy. I mean, when I say wail, not scream louder, he punched his daddy. And his daddy doing like, ooh, Johnny. I'm like, Isaiah. James said Isaiah about there and dropped his ice cream like, cause you better not even look like you want to say something back. They all go through that little stage where they stomping their feet and stuff. I'll tell them in the heart, I say, stomp your foot again. I'm going to stomp on it the next time. Like, I don't be abusing my kids, but sometimes I'll say stuff like that. I ain't really going to stomp on their foot. I'm probably going to pop them like, pull yourself together. Absolutely not. But I really want, like, discipline of actually whipping their butt. We don't even really have to do that. Because our kids are pretty good kids and we can talk to them. We may have to say something twice, maybe a third time. Maybe I do. But my husband got down pat. He'll just look and they be like, oh, Father, forgive me. I had a lapse of memory on where I was and who I was a child of. Forgive me. Let me do this over. I'm going to correct my mistake. Yes, we're going to put this in reverse. Hello, Father. How was your day today? Right? They would do that with my husband. I'm like, where's this whole rewinding thing? Let me pull myself together, mother. It was like, but mom, why I get the but moms and crap, right? Listen, you're going to show me the same respect you show your daddy. You show me that respect when he's standing right here. Don't think just because he turned the corner, you can roll your eyes or something, because I'm going to help you roll them back the other way. Well, all right, let me get back to this. 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. Let me reread one again. Number 1, begin with infancy to give the child. I didn't finish. Look, I be telling so many stories. I started with telling you what Josh said when his 14-year-old kid was snapping off on his daddy. And it was crazy. We seen kids not even like snapping off where moms were like, Johnny, pull yourself together. It was the dads. And that's what was mind blowing to me. I'm like, where's the backbones to these fathers? Like, why are they not saying this? It's just like, oh, Johnny, I'm so sorry. Well, let's hurry up and get back to the hotel. I'm like, and Josh, my 12-year-old, Josh was like, what the heck? And he said it loud. Josh has no filter. Like, his middle name is Takaya, which means loud shofar, loud blowing shofar, right? And Josh, he embodies that. He has a loud voice. His voice carries. And we were literally like right there when this was happening. When I say this little 14-year-old kid was snapping off, even adding curse words and what he was saying, and his father, you could tell his father just looked distraught, right? He's just like, well, F it then, Dad. I'm like, Josh said, I mean, everybody like, everybody, the whole Murphy tribe is now looking like with them eyes, Auntie Belinda Brown, you did. Everybody eyes and head and body turned around like, Josh said, he did like this. He said, what the crap is going on here? And I'm just like, Jason, boy, quit. Look, we all being those, don't do that. And he was like, who gets away with talking to their dad like that? And he was so loud. I'm like, oh my gosh. But children, they got good common sense. At least I know mine do. when they can recognize this stuff out in the street. Like, you don't do this. You want to run that scenario with the Murphy tribe? One of these mini Murphs get out of a pocket? Y'all want to try that? Oh no. Like, that's unheard. No, children aren't supposed to act like that, Father. Never would we ever. Let's straighten up real quick. All right, listen. 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. Number 1, begin with infancy to give the child everything he wants. In this way, he will grow up to believe the world owes him a living. Number 2, when he picks up bad words, laugh at him. This will make him think he's cute. This is a pet peeve of mine. And we can see this rampant in social media. Little babies cussing, doing everything, sticking up their middle fingers, twerking, popping their little tiny rumps and stuff. I'm like, first of all, who's recording this? I take issue with that person. And then the people, the other adults sitting around, go get it, boo, go ahead, Shaquisha. You see your baby out. I'm going to get Shaquisha. Is that Shaquisha mama sitting over there? Ain't said nothing. That look like grandma sitting over there. What is wrong with all of Shaquisha's family? I'm just like, it's a pet peeve of mine, BC. Oh, my goodness. I'm just like, okay, let me get through this list. Number 2, when he picks up bad words, laugh at him. This will make him think he's cute. Number 3, never give him any spiritual training. Wait until he's 21 and then let, quote, him decide for himself, end quote. Number 4, avoid the use of, quote, wrong, end quote. He may develop a guilt complex. This will condition him to believe later when he is arrested for stealing a car that society is against him and he is being persecuted. And then let me tell you something. Some people might not like me for this comment. I'm gonna talk about my people, right? Prince, add this to the list. Feed him animal flesh. I know, right? It should be on the list. Look, some people, I ain't just gonna say our people, right? But it was convenient for some of our people. When I say our people, Black people. I know we ain't really black, but it's just for the sake of conversation. It was really convenient for some of our people when this whole Black Lives Matter and the shootings and all this stuff going on to do things they know they had no business doing. And then when they get caught, they yell foul, like they were really right. And people are already hyped up and they in their emotions about what's happening to people who are really being injustices are truly being done to them, right? They just kind of join this, and it really, and that's some of the big commotion with this whole, what do you want to call it, Black Lives Matter or whatever, this whole movement and all that stuff, because true vagabonds are adding in, they're doing things, and they know they're wrong, right? They know they're wrong, and then they get in here and they want to join this group like they're truly being persecuted. My G. And you expect me not to tell on you. Not that I'm going to keep, maybe I'm adding to the problem because I'm going to keep my mouth shut because, bro, I saw you sticking them unpaid for goods in your pocket. Like, am I not supposed to say something? But you get out here and they bust you across the head. Oh my God, Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. I mean, we're not going to get into all that, but y'all get what I'm saying. It is some, miscreants out there that have added some of the fuel to the fire, and it's like, that's wrong, and those are the things I take issue with. That shows lack of morals and character. And what we learned in Oahspe, what it say? In here, in this portion where it talks about where they depended on the Lord's for all things, henceforth man shall learn to face evil on his own account, otherwise he could not attain to the Godhead. right? And when nobody's watching sometimes, whether it's we responding out of anger or we think nobody's watching and we can do sneaky things and get away with it, all of that stuff falls under this right here, right? People think they can do this and then scream foul and then get everybody else in trouble, when really, if we dissect this matter a little bit more, like I like to say, could you really stand in front of the Creator and tell him the same story that you're trying to peddle to me? And some people are like, well, yeah. And some people really believe their own lies, so sometimes we gotta, before we get like overly hyped up in our emotions about something that happened, we really have to pay attention to some of the other things that was happening. Like I talked about, and I ain't really gonna get into it, but I looked into the life of one particular person who the big Black Lives Matter thing happened with. And there were some nefarious things being done by this particular person. It was big all over the news for years, right? So when I started looking into it, and they make all records public, and this person had actually been being investigated by police already, even at the young age, because of what was happening. Yes, baby. That's Pops. Put it up in the microwave. I'm sure he gonna want that when he come down here. Yeah, put that in the microwave. But it's wild. Yeah, and some people do. Many hide behind the shield of power while doing harm. You got it on both ends. You got people abusing their power. You got those who can think they can get over on authorities. And it's not right from either side. I don't agree with any of it. I just think you need to fix yourself. Do self-evaluation and learn to do what's right from the out or from the inside. And that's what's going to radiate outwards. But sometimes when things come to the news, a lot of the facts they suppress. And even doing trials and stuff, during trials, different evidence and stuff that could possibly come out, they suppress. The lawyers getting there. Oahspe talks about lawyers, right? Because you have some lawyers, they really just in it to win a case. They all about that almighty dollar and stuff, and they're going to win their case. And even some of them, when they find out the people that they're representing, that they were not being fully truthful with them, it's like some of them, and I don't know, they were like, well, I took on this case, but I think it's still your choice. You can choose to walk away from the case or be like, you know what, I'm going to give it in. Even if money was given or whatever, I don't know. That's your choice. Whether you give back the money that they already paid you because you chose to step away from the case, I will no longer be representing you based on information that I now know that you didn't let me know at the beginning of this case. I will no longer represent you because I can't represent wrongdoing. If I get up here and fight for this case, now my character is being looked at. Not that I'm a good lawyer. Some people are like, oh, you're a good lawyer. You made your case in court according to the law. You know what? But with me, it goes a little bit deeper than that, because I think it's like what we were learning in class yesterday. We had a speaker come in, a well-known speaker came in, and they said leadership is not what you do, it's who you are at the core of you. So, and y'all know I'm going to school for business, right? It's who you are at the core of you. Your business will represent you. And they asked us, say, what's the difference between a leader and a position leader? Meaning a leader who is in a position because you've made it up and they promoted you here. What's the difference between them and a true leader, right? The position leader is leading because of his position. And it's not what this leader does that will that'll clarify what type of leader they truly are. To find out what type of leader they truly are, you have to look at the people they're leading. He said, I'll give you an example. He said, hey, Josh, turn it down a little bit. He said, okay, so say your boss, your leader, your position leader position, the guy, whoever, man or woman, comes in, and it's Friday, everybody about to clock out. He just find out from higher ups, you got this project that needs to be completed. It's hot, and it needs to, we need to pull in hours over the weekend. And then, because it has to be submitted first thing in the morning, and he needs people mandatory overtime, right? So first, before saying I'm making everybody absolutely need to come in or whatever, some type of you getting written up somehow, whatever you want to call it, right? He said, now, what will tell the story of who this leader really is? He said, would be the response of his people. He said, so if you got people, let's talk about the position leader. He said, if you have a position leader, this scenario is going on, and he goes to his people, the people that he leads, that's under his tutelage, and they began to respond like, oh man, my son has a game, and I don't want to be late. I missed a couple already. I gotta, and somebody like, you know what, well, it's my turn. I got to get my kids this weekend or whatever it is. I had this thing planned. We're supposed to be going out of town this weekend. He said, when you get that type of response where people's like, oh man, they start responding like, man, my time is valuable. I can't sacrifice any of that this issue, this thing has to be turned in on Monday. They really ain't got nothing to do with me. He said, when people act like that, he said that's a big clue to the type of leader that they have leading them, right? So can't nobody, you can't, yes, babe. No, don't mess with it. That's Dad's, unless you go ask him. Stop asking me for his stuff. Well, leave it alone, because y'all be eating up all his little stuff that he like.
We supposed to be eating this food.
That right there is a blueberry muffin. What I also have is bananas. I got grapes. I got oranges. I got all kind of fruit in here. But y'all want to go towards his blueberry muffins. If you want it, go ask him. He's right upstairs. And so he said, listen, let me finish this. I'm almost done.
Do not like seeds.
So in order to decipher what type of leader you have before you, look at the people. Right? He said, now, same scenario. Now you have a true leader. The true leader comes in like, man, I know it's the end of the day. Everybody's looking forward to their weekend. But I just got this project that they said absolutely has to be turned in. They moved the closing date or whatever up, and it has to be turned in as soon as offices open Monday morning. He said, now when the people, oh man, boss, don't even worry about that. We on it right now. They will begin to adjust their schedule to accommodate their leader. When the leader don't even have to fully explain what it is. It's just like the people just jump in there. Don't worry about it, boss. What do you need from us? And they began to take this on. Okay, how we can do this? Everybody jumps in. All right, Sharice, you got this part, that. Oh, I know this. Wait a minute. I've been looking up. Yep, I'll handle this portion. I got this, boss. Don't worry about it. What time? Well, it need to be turned in first thing Monday. We'll have it done by the end of tomorrow, Saturday. Right? He said now, when you look at that, you look at the groups of people, not looking at the two leaders standing up here, but you look at their people to determine what type of leader they are. Who shows that they're the real leader? I'll ask y'all, who shows that they're the real leader? Example one, whereas people's like, oh man, I got this thing playing. Me and my Anita Baker is coming. This weekend only, and it's gonna be 5 states away. Anita Baker's here this weekend. Right? Or the ones like, boss, you know what? Say less. We own it. We'll have it done not the end of Sunday. We'll have it completed Saturday, end of day. Right? And they'll adjust. I'm like, you know what? I can call in a favor. She said that she would do this. So if I need to just call, we can adjust. Don't worry about this, boss. We got it. Who y'all think? Hold on. Kev, you said, well, you lost 15 grades doing this case. All right, look, listen. All right, so I'm asking y'all, out of those, if y'all were listening to me, who is the real leader? Position leader, or the second example, the one that just holds the title leader? Who is the real leader in this case? If you look at their people, who they're leading, who tells the tale? The second example, exactly, Tabitha. Right, those are the marks of true leadership. When you have people not that are just like following you religiously or trying to get out of stuff, like, oh my gosh, how much longer we got to be here? But people who are like truly engaged. And it's not that he has skills to be engaged, but this tells a deeper tale, because you can tell, like, boss, you know what, say less. People that respond to you like that means that there's something a little bit deeper that's happened in a relationship with the leader and their people. that means that this leader is giving of their time and they really care about you, right? And your people know that you truly care about them and not just what they can do for your organization. They in turn begin to care for you. You got an issue, boss? Say less. We got you, right? That's the true tale of who is a true leader. And I was like, you know what, that is so good. And we can see that not just in business, but in every area of life, no matter what type of organization you go to, whether it's churches, businesses, whatever, any fast food places, Chick-fil-A versus Chick-fil-A. I say Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. Yeah, Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, just like right off the top of my head, versus what's we don't really go to, but y'all get the point, right? You got Popeyes. Oh my gosh, just look at Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. Like, if I was still going for real, I would choose Jesus Chicken Store any day over Popeyes. Because the people out there and Starbucks, they're always so happy, so jipper. And I looked into the internal dynamics of Starbucks. Even when that whole thing happened, when the gentleman, they felt this discrimination a few years ago. The CEO that was in place during that time was Roz Brewer, right? A black woman. But look up Roz Brewer at Starbucks, right? The way she came in and she helped adjust this organization to things and got them more, they got like the racial diversity training and stuff. And she was the first one, like she immediately came out and apologized for what had happened to those gentlemen while sitting in a Starbucks restaurant or little cafe. And I'm like, I'm just looking at different management styles and stuff and how they go in versus somebody like Elon Musk going in here, batting up Twitter and firing everybody. It's like, bro, you are a tyrant. Like, you come in, you should probably just observe first and see what's going on. Find out where the problems are at. He going in, firing everybody. Now you realize you ain't got nobody to help you run Twitter. It's like, wait a minute, let me slow down, let me step back. Right? All right. I was off a little bit. Not too much, but what was we was at what, 4? Like 4 and 5 goes together, right? Listen. Okay. Number 4. This is number 4 in the chart, 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. Look. Right. They respect that type of leader. They really do. There's a mutual respect, leadership to employee, right? They really care for their people. Like I said, not just what you can do for my business, but there's like this even back and forth, right? We want to see you accelerate. We want to see you move on, even if you're not with our company forever, you know, and it would be great. But, you know, I would like you, like, what are your aspirations? Like, what do you really want to do in life? Do you aspire to own your own business one day? Or, you know, maybe even be in leadership of somebody else's business? How can we help you get there, right? So some of the stuff me and my husband was talking about this, I was like, we really got to start implementing some of this stuff. Like, we're still kind of considered like mom and pop, but we really want to develop it to where people, you don't have to be with us forever, but we really want to see you reach your full potential. Where do you want to go, right? How do you, you know, so we was like, we really got to sit down and start doing this, right? This is really good. Okay. Which falls in line with the perpetual growth and those helping you grow, right? We help to raise up others. Gloria, hey, guy. All right. Number 4. Of 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. Avoid the use of, quote, wrong, end quote. He may develop a guilt complex. This will condition him to believe later when he is arrested for stealing a car that society is against him and he is being persecuted. Josh, turn it down, please. Number 5, pick up everything he leaves lying around. Do everything for him so that he will be experienced in throwing all responsibility on others. Wow. I'm starting to make my kids fold their own clothes, right? I get the best. Oh my gosh, like Zay, Yesterday I said, Zay, I washed all your clothes. Like Josh and Saya, they can wash theirs, but Isaiah is 8. I'm like, let me do this. I was like, all of this basket right here is yours. And I poured it out on our bed. I said, fold them right here and then go put them up. He was like, well, why I gotta fold them? I don't know how to fold them. I said, no worries. Fold it however you like. The more you fold, the better you'll get. So he was mad. He took, like I was gonna be mad because he balled up his shirt. He took his shirt, everything he got, he just, and I'm just sitting there like, and when you done, go put them in your drawers. And after he got done balling up everything like this, he did like this. Dropping stuff while he went. And he went and put it in his room. I said, hey, when you get done, come back and get these pieces you dropped. And reball them and put them up. Yeah, so, oh my gosh. These kids are hilarious. Look. Number 5. Pick up everything he leaves lying around. Do everything for him so that he will be experienced in throwing all responsibility on others. Number 6, let him read any printed matter he can get his hands on. Be careful that the silverware and drinking glasses are sterilized, but let his mind feed on garbage. Wow. Let me read that again. Number 6, let him read any printed matter or any printed material like smut, whatever. Social media. Let him read any printed matter he can get his hands on. Be careful that the silverware and drinking glasses are sterilized, but let his mind feast on garbage. Like, that's insanity. Number 7, quarrel, like fight, quarrel frequently in the presence of your children. In this way, they won't be so shocked when the home is broken up later. Whew, sheesh. Number 8. Give a child all the spending money he wants. Never let him earn his money. Number 9, satisfy his every craving for food, drink, and comfort. See that his every sensual desire is gratified. Number 10, take his part against neighbors, teachers, and policemen. They are all prejudiced against your child. Now, we all know that's not true. Right, we all know that's not true. Like the stories I give, like I said, if somebody came to my door and say, ma'am, Josiah just walked over here and slapped the piss out of me, I would immediately know that they're lying because I know the character of Josiah. Now, had they said, ma'am, Isaiah came up here and slapped the piss out of me, I would believe that because I know the character of my son. Not that he beats women, but he came out of the womb fighting, right? It's just don't say nothing to him. And he don't be like serious and malicious. But he's just like one of them rough little boys. Josh said he is. He's just like one of them rough little boys. Like, you want to fight? Like my aunt. Listen, sometimes my aunt come, I be like, Zay, you can't be too rough with auntie because my aunt don't care. Even though she got like a pacemaker, she don't care. She be roughhousing with the boys. Like it keeps her young, and so she loves it. And I be like, oh my gosh, auntie. She's like, girl, I'm fine. I'm like, but okay, all right, yes, the Lord of heals. Like all of this, and so I'm just like, calm down. Don't be jumping all over auntie. Auntie coming in here, Nerf wars, running through the house with the kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? That's Isaiah. Isaiah will get things popping off. Like if you going somewhere and you want to be calm, you don't really, I ain't gonna say you don't want to let this type of person lead. You just have to adjust. You have to mold those blazing fires in the right direction. They have to be controlled fires, right? Otherwise, if you don't control them fires and teach them how to be a constructive fire, they're going to burn everything down. They're going to burn down a house. They're going to burn down families. They're going to burn down whatever they get close to with their matches and with their fiery personalities, right? So it's those who you have to make sure that you are molding at all times. Not being overbearing or anything else, babe.
What does Leona and Jared and Josh and, not Josh, and Jemima came back from the store, someone was, Elijah was here. They brought poppy things. Yeah. We throw it at the ground. Pops. Boom. Like, Yeah, that.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I know. You like that sort of stuff. That's Isaiah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Kevin. They might not react. They watch and plant. You have to be really, really careful about how you react. The seeds you're planting directly and indirecting things that they're just observing and never saying things about. I guess I'm almost dying.
In the video.
Bella asked first, but you can talk to Bella. Listen, no, I didn't say you can't. But she asked a little while ago. You and Bella work that out, and maybe you can come to some type of compromise. But you didn't answer. You just assuming. Let me finish this list. Number 8. Give a child all the spending money he wants. Never let him earn his money. Hey, put that down, boy. Put it down. If you want to watch it loud, go in there. What you do? Josh, turn that all the way down. Thank you. Number 9, satisfy his every craving for food, drink, and comfort. See that his every sensual desire is gratified. Number 10, take part against neighbors, teachers, and policemen. They're all prejudiced against your child. Number 11, when he gets into real trouble, apologize for yourself by saying, quote, I could never do anything with him, end quote. Number 12, prepare for a life of grief. You will likely have it. Right? And these are the 12 steps to raise a delinquent child. And if you are wise, you would know we need to be doing the opposite of these things so we don't raise a delinquent child. Right? So none of these things that y'all heard me read is cool to do. Like, we ain't letting y'all get away with none of this. Just in case they walked in. They looking like, what?
That is wrong.
All of them are in here. Like, this is the type of stuff we don't do. We won't let y'all just do whatever you want to do, house and never, all the time, right?
Did you turn off camera on this?
Oh, yeah. An hour, 26 minutes. Okay, let me go to we're not going to finish this because everybody is in the kitchen now. They trying to fix something to eat. So I'm going to read to the top of page 103. I'm going to finish reading this thought about the children. Okay. Let's see. So let me go back. Page 100, the bottom paragraph. And it said, hey, chill. It said, didn't Roy Hazelwood's study of serial rapists find that 76% had indeed been, quote, victimized as youngsters, end quote. Depew, 2005, page 286. This fact, and it is a fact, is not incomprehensible, but whitewashing the great American family is a stubborn old habit. Few are eager to learn that parenting American style has a seriously ugly side. The unmaking of self begins at home. The non-person is made, not born. Hey, chill. The non-person is made, not born. Forensic psychiatrists readily observe the criminal's need to humiliate and degrade, yet are reluctant to trace this to the parents who taught them this very behavior in their, quote, sponge years, end quote. Lousy parenting, criticism, debasement, belittlement is the kindergarten of crime. Thank you. Just pause it till I'm done. Thank you. Studies have also shown that for 47% of serial killers, the father had left the home before the boy was 12. That leaves mom, quote, the harm you, quote, well, in brackets, the harm you, mother, did can never be undone, end quote. Ted Kaczynski, Unabomber, quoted in Douglas and Oahspe, 1999, page 287. Let me see it. Let me see that. Thank you. Hold on. Some are weak or what you say? I know this word. Masochistic. Yeah, that's what it is. Some are weak or masochistic women who attract the sadistic husband, boyfriend. Some are jailbirds or alcoholic. Some turn tricks, but most rule the roost. 2 out of 3 serial killers were raised by a domineering mother. Quite a few of these moms are sociopaths themselves. Others are schizophrenic. Some are possessed. Some are perfectionists, which we can see that was true of Kevin Crumb's mother in Split, right? When they show flashbacks of his mom, she had something was wrong with her. Quite a few of these moms are sociopaths themselves. Others are schizophrenic. Some are possessed. Some are perfectionists. Some are provocative, seductive, serial wives, marrying and divorcing in steady succession. Some are overly possessive. Some are explosive, and some are downright scary. Profilers, we know, have whittled the homicidal formula down to control and domination. But killers do not come into the world with these urges. They were taught it, usually by their parents. We are so quick to identify the beast of dominance in these deviants, but so reluctant to acknowledge its creator. Parents, caregivers, like the overpowering alcoholic father who practically enslaved his sons. Bondage, bindings, and all such evil accoutrements do not come out of thin air, but are learned early in the school of entrapment. That's good. I'm adding it to the title. The School of Entrapment today is also going to be in the title. Hey, where's the remote? Did that unpause itself?
No.
Yeah, it goes in and out. Who got that other remote? Leave it alone. You can pause it, but don't turn it back up. I'm almost done. Bondage, bindings, and all such evil accoutrements do not come out of thin air, but are learned early in the school of entrapment. Enter the serial killer, rope fetish like Harvey Gladman, whippers like Henry Lee Lucas, sadistic control freaks like Eric Napolitano, all with a hostile or highly domineering parent. The mothers of genocidal men, for many, if not most serial killers prey upon females, are controllers. Matricides, Ed Gein, Henry Lee Lucas, John List, Ed Kemper, are usually the product of an overbearing mother. Kemper, remembering his own as, quote, a damned, manipulating, controlling beast, end quote. Vronsky, 2004, bless you, page 261. The reader interested in criminology may consider the especially disturbed mothers of Ken Bianchi, Joe Callinger, Jerry Brudos, Richard Chase, John Joubert, Bobby Joe Long, Dean Corll, Fred Coe, Arthur Shawcross, to name a few. In short, the sponge of a young mind forged with the imprint of control is most easily lost to itself. And when consciousness is somewhere else, the unseen controller can step in. And that's what we're going to pause at today, beautiful people. All right, so tomorrow we may or may not finish this because we still got, we're on page 103. The end of this chapter is, we might not finish it tomorrow either. Page 114. We'll probably be done by Tuesday. Tuesday, I said the latest. I'm almost certain. Maybe. And then we can start chapter 5. I shall walk the sky. All right, beautiful people. So let me put my page numbers in here. 99 to 103, 39 to, I forgot the page number here. I hope y'all enjoyed the readings today.
Mom, this is what I mean.
What?
Look, Bella, can I end the video?
Josiah went upstairs. Josiah asked you to end it. Right there. You asked? Yeah, I don't have 3 buttons. So y'all, I don't have 3 buttons. Unless one of y'all want to press the post button for Facebook.
Me. No, me.
Okay.
Sorry, do that since you.
Who want? Sorry, you can press the okay. You can press the post button. Which one you in? The Facebook or YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay, so they are in Facebook. Okay, pause. Wait a minute, y'all. Did I say what was my words of adoration this morning? And I know I forgot to end it with one yesterday. What did I say this morning? Did I say it? Because I know I had it prepared. I didn't write it down. I was going to say it. Now, let me think of two.
You did not say it.
Yeah, I think I didn't say it because I started with this new tragedy in Mexico. You're welcome, Kendrick. Let me see. Yeah, I don't think I said any. When I think about it and I don't write it down, sometimes I forget. And I had them write them down to remind myself. Sometimes I'll do good and I'll just sit and I'll think of something and I'll write it for the whole week. But then it's like the next week come and I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to write them in and I got to think of them on the fly. All right, so this morning I thought...
He's not going to pause it until he's done
Oh, chill.
Mom,
Yes, baby.
Jace has the phone.
Jace, thank you. Bring the phone. Bring it back. No, you had the opportunity to keep it paused when I asked you the first couple times. And when I take it, you don't come sneak it back when you see me sidetracked. Oh, feel long.
Zay snuck it.
Now to take it now because you came and snuck it back. I'm going to take it again to your daddy and tell him to hold on to it. Oh, who took it?
Zay.
So why did you take it and tell me he had it back? I already get you. Now, you think I'm wrong if I say you can't end one of these little segments up here today. Because you did that, making me think he did it. First of all, apologize to him. Because you just got him in trouble. Apologize to him. You came and took the phone, right? And then you came and told me, look, he got the phone back.
No, Bella said that.
Okay. Somebody said it. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, I'm holding on to the phone. Okay. Let me bring myself back in. It was one I had prepared this morning. Guys, chill. All right. Father, we thank you. Hold on. Y'all, they doing all this talking in the background. Throwing my train of thought off. Let me see. Let me think of some easy ones. Father, we thank you for the gift of parenting. Yes, we thank you for the gift of parenting. And we also thank you for the wisdom to develop our own parenting skills that we may develop and help raise those ones that you send through our lives. Right? Okay, yeah. All right, beautiful people. That's it. I love y'all. I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, 6:15 a.m., bright and early. 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love y'all. Peace. All right, Bella. No, you said you was in a YouTube. Okay. Saya. Okay. Bella, you hit that. Zay, come here. Saya, you hit the post button, so you gotta go. Maybe. Hold on. No.
This one.
No. Bella, you hit that one. Peace, y'all. Chibu. All right, Isaiah, come here. You come hit this button. Hit that one. Bella. Zay, hit this button.